Hello and welcome back to another episode of They Don't Teach This in Law School. My guest today is a returning guest, which at this point, just for the fun of it, I'm going to say is returning for his 7th time on the show, even though I believe it's actually only his 2nd. But, if you didn't listen to the first time that he was on the show, you'll have to go back and listen to that, where I swore up and down he had been on the show multiple times before. He's a fantastic guy, great criminal defense law firm owner out of Florida, has an awesome podcast himself, and is doing some really cool things in marketing, practice growth, etc. It's my buddy, Adam Rossen. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Charlie, for the 7th time. This is so amazing to be here. Right. and as we were talking before we went live, I literally thought it was 3, but no, it's 2, right? Because the first time we thought it was 2 or 3, and really it was only 1. Look, there was just about 40 people who you love more than me. It's okay,
You're a scorned NFL draft pick at this point. You know exactly who went before you in the first round.
I do. I actually do.
I love it. Play with a chip on the shoulder. So Adam, what's the one thing they don't teach you in law school?
So this time around, it's based on what we're going to say or what I'm going to talk about, but they don't teach you how to challenge the status quo, think outside the box, and decide to just go for it and do something.
I love that last part. That go for it and do something is huge.
Yeah, and I think, as even I've been talking about the internship, which of course we'll get into, there's a lot of lawyers and people are like, oh, well, you can't do that. You have to pay them. And I'm like, no, I don't, and we'll talk about the opportunities we're giving and different things. And so there's just a lot of no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. And that's really the enemy of progress. I think we have something really cool here that's giving back to the entire industry, right? The criminal defense industry, the legal industry, law schools. Right now I'm, fighting over email with some local law schools that won't let us participate in on-campus interviews in OCIs. So, exactly. And
okay, like those of you who aren't watching the video, I'm like shaking my head in disbelief here. So like let's open up this Pandora's box, Adam. You're talking about the internship thing. Lay some groundwork of what we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah. So, look, I'm a criminal defense lawyer right now. We have a pretty large practice for criminal defense lawyers, 6 lawyers, about 23 people. And, for the first 7, 8, 9 years of my career, it was, oh, you want an internship? Come hang out. Right. And for a lot of criminal defense lawyers, that's what it is. You'll take somebody on, you'll come hang out for a week, maybe a month or 2, the whole summer, whatever. And it's just very unstructured. And over the years, it's evolved a little bit every year. And Charlie, you've gotten to see a lot of the evolution behind it. And the first major change, which is really like the version 3.0 of the internship, was during COVID, when we took on 13 interns. It was all remote. And, people were losing. They lost their summers, they lost their internships, they lost everything. And, we're in a coaching group together. We're in a mastermind at this time together, and I'm being told, right. And I'm saying, I am a community and relationship builder, right? I'm a pillar of the community. So it's my responsibility to take on everybody who needs something, who needs that internship. And we did. And somehow we got 13, I was collecting interns, and they had an amazing experience. We ended up doing some, pop-up workshops and pop-up law school like exams and different things with the George Floyd murder, and made it a really cool experience. I got to watch Zoom court, and they helped us write content for the website. We got 30,000 words of content on our site. Our site just exploded. It really helped explode the growth of the firm, that and a few other things. And it was an amazing experience for people that literally were going to have nothing. Right.
So these multidisciplinary internships, or like what categories were you filling out?
Well, it was all, at that time, it was just, okay, come, people who wanted to be a lawyer. It was high school, college, and law school, but there was no attachment to criminal defense, criminal justice, anything like that. It was just, and I took the approach of come see, and if this helps you check off the box that you don't want to do this, then I've helped you too. Right.
Right.
And that was kind of the third version of it, which we really pivoted during COVID, but it really stemmed from, before we'd have 1 or 2 interns every summer. And I'm just like, we got to help people. Manny thought I was crazy. Manny thinks I'm crazy about once a week, so that's normal. But right, we're going to put our.
You're crazy twice a week, and he's only calling you on one.
Exactly. I am crazy, right? I definitely am. But if we're sitting there talking and saying, there's a greater purpose and there's a why behind what we're doing, and it's not just about making money. We actually want to be community and relationship, leaders and builders. Then it's our moral obligation to do it, and we did. And then we used that as a catalyst over maybe 22 and 23 and last year to kind of morph it to the fourth version, which was criminal justice focused, right? People, and we built out a curriculum. So, and for 22 and 23, I had help, amazing people in my team that kind of took it over. And then in 24 last year, I took it back. So now I run the program again, and I'm never say never, but I never want to give it up because it's one of the most favorite things that I do. And so now we have about 10 interns a summer. We have a high school track and then a college/law school track. Cool. And high school is 9 weeks, college and law school is 12 weeks. And we started to build out a curriculum where we did a book club for one book about criminal justice in the federal system. And it's actually written by a federal judge. And it's a very harsh rebuke of what's wrong with the criminal justice system. In the federal criminal justice system. It's an awesome book. We've watched documentaries, but specifically tailored ones, and then had very thoughtful discussion behind it. We did one called Cash for Kids. You might have heard this. It was a scandal about 15 years ago where the two Pennsylvania judges were basically getting kickbacks for sending kids to private juvenile prisons. And they were both released by Biden in the last week of the administration during their, clemency stuff that they did.
Yep.
So, thought-provoking stuff where now they're assigned an attorney and they have their attorney for the summer. And of course, there's cross-pollination. We have judges, we have former clients talk. They go to federal court, state court, 3 or 4 state courts. They spend an entire day with my wife, who's a prosecutor, and they get to see that side. So we've built out this summer program, and we started doing on-campus interviews with it. And some schools totally allow us, and they're very happy. And currently, we're fighting with 2 law schools right now because they basically said, the only free or the only unpaid internships we allowed are government ones. And other than that, you have to pay because you're a private company. And we're filming in early February 2025. I mean, we can talk about Doge if we want, right? And
we're steering wide of that one. I'm driving way around that one.
Fine. But, there's so much hypocrisy in the government and in law students, the institution of law. Yeah. Right. So it's okay for them to get credit that they're paying for to work for, me, but it's not okay if they're not if the school won't give them credit. And if I don't pay them yet, I'm giving them the summer experience of their lifetime with what we've built out.
So you have some schools that will allow for like participation here. You're just battling with a few of them, and they're putting up basically just not even like semantic arguments, just sort of, here's our line in the sand.
Right. And without, and I've asked them to explain the reasoning, and so far it's been about a week and a half, and it's been crickets. So I'm following up every few days, with nicely written, with a little bit of sarcastic undertone, emails. But I'd like an answer. And look, this one school in particular, they said, if you have any questions, let us know. I'm like, actually, I have a lot of questions.
So they opened up that one.
Right. I have a lot of questions because they haven't taken the time to investigate what our internship program is about. It's about inspiring the next generation of criminal defense lawyers. And it's now evolved into version 5.0, which I really want to talk about, which is a true criminal justice, criminal defense internship that I think is the most unique in the entire country, because it's the only one that I know of that is run by a private criminal defense law firm that is solely criminal defense, criminal justice focused, that allows them to live the day-to-day life of a criminal defense lawyer while also having a bit of an academic and philosophical curriculum to it. And we are very big on connecting our alumni network and connecting them with, potential jobs, introducing them to prosecutors, public defenders, judges, and just expanding their horizons to truly see what we do every single day. So it's not just come work and you're going to be working in a sweatshop, giving us free labor. There is a lot of care and attention that has been, put into this. So we have an absolute curated experience for these interns.
So like you said, you've been doing different variations of internships over several years now, and now you have this version 5.0. I'm curious, you're about to this summer have this version rolled out. What were some of the big lessons for you along the way, either on how to manage or run a great internship program, or like, this is stuff I would never repeat again that you discovered along the way?
Right. Yeah. And we have both. So
I'm sure.
First of all, so for anybody listening to this, look, this is almost 20 years in the making, right? And really to go from the COVID era to here is 5 years in the making. And you don't have to be perfect, right? Something I still struggle with. I want everything I do to be the absolute best, but I also know there's the value in the minimum viable product. So one thing we learned a few years ago was, we started accepting people in December, November, December, January. And we had a few people, not too many, but a few who were accepted and then disappeared come April, May when we're getting started. So now we have everybody sign an integrity statement. It's a contract. Not only do they sign an NDA, as far as not just our client information, but the firm's, proprietary information, right? Like how we market, how we sell, our CMS, all that stuff. But we have them sign an integrity statement. And I talk about it during the interview process. I say, look, this is a small community. If you intern with me, like right now, I have to sign off on like 2 or 3 former interns for the Florida bar, right? Because they have to put their internships. And I'm so happy to do that. That's an amazing thing. But I tell people, I say, look, like if you're holding out for something that you perceive as better, either paid or a judicial internship, don't accept. Because what you'll be doing is you'll be burning a bridge with us and you'll be taking a spot from somebody else who really wants this. So we're, and look, it's our core values. Core value number 1, being open and honest. So during this process, we learned we are very open and honest. And we say, look, it's okay if you're not all in, core value number 4, then say no or withdraw. And we're perfectly okay with that. So that's one thing that we learned. We don't open up the internship until January now because it's just too much of a window from November, December till when we get started in May. So we don't open it up till January. That's another thing that we learned, and being very intentional with the rules. So now it's 12 weeks. You can take a week off. That's it. If you need to go away for 4th of July to be with your family, your girlfriend, a trip, like go, have fun. Go. I want you to go. But if you come to us and you say, well, I can be here 3 weeks, then I have to miss a week, then I'm coming back for 2 weeks, then I'm gone for 4 days, then I'll be like, no, it's not going to work. And before I was willing to accommodate, but now there has to have some strict parameters around it and telling people upfront during the interview process. So that's another thing I learned. We do group interviews now. And if we want to hone in more, we hone in on individual after that, but we do group because we have a lot of people that apply that are very talented. And let's see. So those were definitely some things, and things that we also learned. We survey the interns. We started doing that last year. So, we survey them, and I briefly looked at them in August, but that's something that next month we're going to spend some time really going through the surveys to say, okay, what did they love? What did they like? What did they think was okay? And what can we do better? It's simple as that. Survey them, ask, right?
Yeah. How much weight do those surveys end up really having? Like, this is coming from a person who has we'll call it a mixed relationship with running surveys. Like, how much do those then inform the next summer's programming? And then how much of it do you look at and go, well, we still need to proceed with this certain intentional style of curriculum, et cetera?
So that's good. I don't know because we haven't done it yet. We're gonna review the surveys next month. So
Gotcha.
I did a very brief look at it in August. There was one thing where I think 1 or 2 people said that they didn't just love, like, we had some former interns who came back, but they were previously college interns. And so I believe the law students didn't really find value in college kids coming back when they were still further ahead. So I think they would have got more value if we had former interns who are now practicing law come back. And so we do have one in particular who's at the Broward Public Defender's Office. I didn't have her speak last year because she was studying for the bar, but now that she's been a lawyer for 7-8 months, I do want to bring her back to talk about her experience. And she's somebody who I want to hire when she gets her 2 or 3 years of residency at the PD. So yeah, I mean, she was an unpaid intern. She was one of our interns. Then she became a law clerk, and we have a few, 2 or 3, who turned their summer internship into paying jobs. And I would love it if this particular one, like I said, when she gets her 2-3 years experience, I want her to be part of the team. I want her to come back home, right? Because this is her home.
I mean, that displays some like serious long-term thinking. Was that type of long-term thinking? How early on did you start putting that into the internship process and thinking about how you hire, train them, et cetera?
It wasn't originally intentional. However, as you know, Manny, who's the managing partner, is a product of the internship program. He's a product of the first version of the Just Come Hang Out. Right. So, and now he runs the show, which is so cool. For those, some people don't know, my wife was an intern. Now there's definitely a backstory behind that. Yes. Now it was, I mean, long story short, she was part of the first round of Come Hang Out as well, but our grandparents were best friends in the, old Jews in the country club, and kind of put us, put the internship together, and then quickly they were scheming and planning behind closed doors. My wife did make me shut down the internship program for 2 years after that, but we have an understanding. So yes,
there's the inside scoop that people come to this show for.
Exactly. Now a lot of people know that, some people don't. So yes, and when I tell the interns that every summer, like the look of shock on their face, and I go, "Don't worry, guys." I'm like, "Don't worry, guys. We're not doing that anymore."
So you mentioned that like this is the thing that you really love doing. You want to keep doing this. What is it about the internship program that you love so much?
Well, I've always loved being a teacher. Look, I was a high school basketball coach for 10 years. I don't coach the high school season anymore, but I do coach the Maccabi games, which is like the Jewish Olympics. It's only about the games are 1 week. We do about 2 weeks of training camp and a few weekends. So it's a lot more manageable for me. We won a gold medal last year in Houston. This year we're going to Pittsburgh. And so I love coaching. I love teaching. I'm the criminal law and criminal procedure teacher at American Heritage High School in Plantation, Florida. So I'm teaching some of the brightest 15, 16 and 17-year-olds. And so I love teaching. I love giving back. I love being creative. I'm not in casework anymore, so this can be my thing. It helps brand the firm. And so now the fifth version is really looking at this from a marketing, a branding, and a relationship perspective. It's taking it to the next level. And obviously, you're so much more than just a marketing whiz, but right, a lot of the Charley of 15 years ago started in the marketing space.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I'm always thinking about everything that we do in the firm. I always say, how can we use all parts of the pig? Right. Yeah. So we're using this to build relationships. Right. And we've had judges in the past call me or Manny and say, "Hey, I need a favor. My neighbor's daughter needs an internship." Well, we're not saying no to that judge that we're in front of multiple times per week, right? It's about relationships. And it so helps when that person is highly qualified. But
of course,
how flattering is that you have a judge picking up and calling our cell phone saying, "Look, like, you guys run this best internship program. I have somebody who on their merits deserves it, but I just want to give you a heads up." Absolutely, judge, no problem. Right. And so that's happened multiple times in the past. And then being able to use that potentially as a feeder system for future lawyers is amazing. And we've had people this summer or this spring already apply for this summer's internship. And we say, how did you hear about it? Well, my good friend is your former intern, so-and-so, right?
Awesome.
And I want us to be known as community leaders. I want the firm to have a statewide and a nationwide branding where we're known across the country. So now we're targeting criminal justice organizations to partner with. We've had the Innocence Project speak for 3 or 4 years, but there's hundreds or dozens, I'd say dozens of criminal justice organizations across the country that have a very similar mission and vision to us, right? We're all aligned. And so now it's part of the relationship play, the branding play, and the marketing play, because I want press from this. I want to make sure we have press releases. I want to make sure that we can write blogs on their websites. So now we're getting link backs from, even medium DA, organizations, websites, but it's hyper relevant to criminal law, criminal justice. And it's something that competitors cannot duplicate. Anybody can get an Avo profile, a Justia profile, all the directories, and duplicate a big portion of our backlink profile. But if we can get 30, 40 highly relevant criminal justice organizations, right, and get them to speak to our interns and see where this goes, leverage this for future opportunities. Maybe I can speak at a conference. Maybe I can fly out there and do some work with them. Maybe we can scholarship. We've toyed around with, because not everybody can afford to be down here for an unpaid internship.
Right.
So can we have a spot available to pay somebody, kind of like scholarship them, somebody who can't afford to come down here and do an unpaid? Maybe they are paid, right? And especially if it's a referral from a criminal justice organization. So we haven't done that yet, but we're considering doing that this summer, and we definitely want to do that next summer as we build more relationships. And I want to get to the point where I'm like, well, I want to be like you, Charley. I want to go across the country and speak on stage and do, but I want to do fun things where I can have an impact on people. And that's, it's the firm, but it's also me, and it's all of them. It's a giant flywheel, really, of how this is all integrated. So that's really version 5.0 is next level thinking with this.
So let me ask you this. Do you record the sessions when you have these guest speakers come in?
No. And it's a great idea. So I just got a great idea from you. We should.
Well, because what I'm thinking, Adam, is you start recording all of this, and now what you have is like a prep series for anyone who's interested in either criminal law, interested in the internship. Like Tim Semmelroth has his mock trial course. Right. You could put this together as a nationwide, easily accessible course for students who are interested in criminal defense with these great guest lecturers in there.
And that's why you are Yoda. And you are my Jedi master.
Dude, I mean, but what I love is that type of thinking. It doesn't happen without you having started taking your interest in teaching a long time ago and continually nurturing it over time to then have this setup where you can even think about, because most people would, and there will be people who hear that idea and inevitably go, I'm just going to go ahead and launch into this coursified version of the whole thing.
Right.
Well, Adam has this whole plan, this whole series of learning and everything that led up to this point. Were there any years where you thought about giving up doing the internship program?
No, I mean, again, from 2008, when I started the firm, maybe our first intern was 09 or 10, Manny and I were trying to figure out what summer he was with us. And although Manny and I are very close, we are not husband and husband. Right. Nothing wrong with that, but that's, we've been very close for a very long time. And it must have been 09 or 10. And from that till about 2017, it was just come hang out. It really wasn't it was no intentionality behind it. And I know Manny joined in 2018. And when I took on 3 interns that summer, he thought I was crazy in summer of 18. But of course, it started because I went to a local high school to lecture to their criminal law club. And part of the lecture was telling people to go intern to see what you like. And this little tiny pipsqueak of a girl walks over to me and says, well, thank you so much. I want to intern with you. Here's my resume. And I'm third in my class out of 700 students. And I really quickly, I was like, oh shit. I go, I can't tell her no, because I just told her to go get an internship. So I'm like, you're in. Right. And we took on 3 that summer, and, Manny thought I was crazy. What are you doing? But no, I never thought about giving up, because I love it so much. I truly love it. I mean, I delegated it to 2 people, and they did a fantastic job. Shani and Maylene from my firm, who are no longer with us, they did such a good job taking the reins. And she made Harvard Law Review at Harvard Law School, and Maylene was our firm administrator and did a great job. When they both moved on, I thought a lot about it, and I was like, it's time for me to take this back. It'll be work, but this is my baby. It's always been my baby. And, I'm going to need support and help, but I need to be the face of this, and I want to be the face of this. So that's awesome. But no, I've never thought about not doing it. Never.
Most law firm owners who I talk to who are thinking about bringing on an intern, or perhaps, I've had law firm owners who I've talked to who are like, I got an intern.
What do I do?
And the next thing is, I don't know what to do with them. Like they don't really know how to on-ramp an intern, how to assign first projects, etc. What advice would you give to that person?
Well, you can call me, talk to me. I'm sure I'll give my info later. But I'd love to
walk
anybody
right
through
now if you want, Adam.
I'm easy to find. LinkedIn. I don't know, Adam@RossenLawFirm.com. People know me. I guess find me. I'm easy. And if you can't find me, call Charley on his direct cell phone and ask him. You'll put us in a text group, right? But just what I would say is just sit, stop, and think. Right? About what experience you want to give them. It's not all about you. It's about them, right? It's about both. So what do you need help with? Where can you provide value? And there's so much value in behind the scenes operation, especially if you're a smaller solo lawyer. And when you think it through, discuss that with them before accepting them. You want expectations to meet reality on both sides. So one of the things we've learned is we are very intentional in the website copy that we have. We now have an awesome 4-minute promotional video that we just produced, and I think it's so cool. And we talk about that during the interview process of, look, this internship is great for people who want X, Y, and Z. This internship will be terrible for people who want ABC. And we talk about it during the group interviews. And, and again, there's no judgment at all. Like I'm like, we have so many candidates that I want people to say no, right? Unless you're truly all in and you truly want, before it used to be like, well, I really want to be a lawyer and I have some in criminal law is fun and exciting. Now we're really looking for people who have passion for criminal defense. And we're honing in on that too, because with niching down, 3-4 years ago, somebody who was like, well, I want to see what this is about, but I've always trended towards business law. That was great 3 years ago. It's just with where we're at now and really committing to going all in on criminal defense and criminal justice, it's just not the right fit anymore. And that's okay, right? Because the niches are in the riches, as you know, and it's allowing us to have better partnerships with different organizations across the country. But you want to be intentional, and just think it through, right? And again, if I can give advice or help, hit me up.
So how much of this internship program is training versus some type of execution on the part of the interns?
Well, they're getting knowledge and training from working with the lawyers, and trial and error, but a lot of it's execution. I mean, it's, hey, we got trial in 2 weeks. Do you want to prep it with me? And the interns, most of them are like, absolutely. Right. Okay. Well, let's go. Let's go through the body cameras. Let's do this. And now, with our tech and AI and different things, it makes it a lot easier and it's more fun, and we partner with those lawyers. So look, if we're in trial, we may have just that lawyer's interns prep it and help, but we're going to have all the interns watch. Right.
Oh,
and so they have projects. Yeah. I mean, trials are amazing, big motions to suppress, they're all going to be there. Morning court, it just maybe depends on where the lawyer is. but it's the one word that I really use to describe it is immersive. It is truly an immersive experience. They're going to see day to day what criminal lawyers do. And then I come in more with the academic, the philosophical component, and the lecture series and the connections. That really is my field of it. But the day to day of learning how to be a criminal lawyer, oh yeah, they're getting that with our lawyers, and I got to balance time because, I want it to encompass all, the academic, the philosophical, the lectures or the connections, and then also hey, let's do this really fun stuff. And one thing we did last year, Charley, is I was thinking midway through the summer, I was like, there's something missing, and what's missing is the competition. And I thought it through and I said, you know what we're doing? And this was a mid internship audible. I said, we're having an intern of the summer award. And I got to let everybody know now.
Oh.
And we're going to have a plaque in the office that's going to have everybody's name, etched in stone. And then we're going to give an award to the actual winner. And last year it was and we named it after Manny, since he was the original intern. That's awesome. And so, even though he's still alive, he gets the Sarah, right? It's not a posthumous, award. It's the Sarah Hovanich, it's the Rossen Law Firm Sarah Hovanich Intern of the Summer Award. That's cool. And our winner was I think a unanimous selection. Christian Gonzalez, he was a rising 2L at the University of Georgia Law School. And then we needed help for some motion. So he's become a paid law clerk, a motion writer for us. Wow. Since last summer. And he was runaway, and all of our interns last summer were amazing, but he was the one who was like, oh, you need help, on a weekend. He wanted this so bad. He's going to be an amazing public defender in Georgia. He's kind of an animal, just didn't stop, which is kind of our DNA. But it was truly amazing. I mean, this guy, right? He's not a kid. I was going to say kid, makes me feel old. But this person, he lived with his grandparents for the summer in Florida, even though he lives in Georgia and is from Georgia. Mm-hmm. So you have a 24-year-old with a girlfriend, right? Who could be totally living it up for the summer, coming to live with his grandparents, because that's how bad he wanted this internship. That's
awesome.
And that's who we're looking for, right? We're looking for 10 interns, right? 10 interns like that.
Wow. Right? Okay. So 10 this summer.
Right. We're going to take between 8 and 10. So we take 2 to 3 from American Heritage. They're the only ones. They're the only high schoolers that we take. We've limited it to my students at Heritage.
Cool.
Mostly rising seniors or graduating seniors. I think under that, just, you need a car. You need to be a little pretty mature. So we're limiting it to that. And then, so it could be 3, 3, and 3, 3 college, 3 law school, 3 high schoolers, just somewhere in that 8 to 10 range, however it shakes out. Knowing me, I'll want to take 15. I can't do that. But 8 to 10. And there, because we have 4 lawyers in production right now. So the lawyers will have between 2 or 3. Me and Manny don't get an intern. It'd be unfair for them to have us because we're not, in all the day-to-day casework. So we come in for the other stuff, the curriculum.
So actually, kind of last question on this. So they're shadowing your attorneys and all that. Like, how do you talk with your staff about, hey, we're bringing on interns, and there's going to be a little bit of, I mean, sometimes an intern can, yes, enhance a process, but also you may need to slow down a little bit. How do you handle that with your team?
We just communicate, just talk about it. Through trial and error, we've learned, because a lot of times I wasn't, years I wasn't thinking about that. I'm like, oh, they're interns, they're great. Here, go. And then things break, right? And then there's a learning curve. And so, look, we're pod based, and the lawyers love it. I mean, think about it. It's really 12 weeks. So 13 weeks is 25% of the year. So for about 25% of the year, we have this amazing program. And, it's fully in person. So they use all of our tech. So if they're in the pods, so they communicate with our virtual legal assistants who are overseas. They communicate with our case managers who are in person. And just, there's such a fun, amazing vibe in the office. It's energy. And we're big on just energy. And it works out. And look, our lawyers are, I so when I took it back over last year, I decentralized the process. Because before, when Maylene and Shani were running it, everything ran through them, even the legal work.
Oh.
And they were kind of the liaison. And I said, I'm taking this back over. I do not have the time or capability to do this. So we are going to change our government style, and we will put the power back in the states and decentralize this. I am only in charge of curriculum, and the lawyers are in charge of their interns, right? The lawyers and the case managers.
That's cool.
And that's that. And as long as I stay out of it, unless there's a major problem, and there wasn't any last year. So, but again, I thought it through, and I'm just like, if I'm taking this over and I have to be the go-to, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. So we had conversations, change management, got buy-in from the lawyers and from the staff, and and we had I think last year was the best summer we ever had, and
That's
I'm looking
awesome.
forward to this summer to top it.
That's so cool. All right. If people want to reach out to you, connect with you, Adam, learn more about this, etc., where should we send them?
Yeah. So Charlie's cell phone number is, I'll give myself, right. My cell is 954-551-6166. I get a lot of BS spam, so text me. You can email me, Adam@Rossen Law Firm. You can hit me up. I'm making a commitment in 25 and beyond to be a lot more active on LinkedIn like you are, Charley. I want to be like Charley. And look, if there's anybody listening to this, if you know of somebody who would be a great fit to be an intern, please encourage them, but reach out to me to let me know that they're coming from you. If you know somebody who works or has a connection to a criminal justice, criminal defense organization, please put us in touch. It's part of our mission, our big picture mission to really, get more speakers and partner with this. So if there's anybody listening to this, if you think this has given you some value, and if I could ever be of value to you, I want to be. And if there's anything you can ever do for us or for the program, it would either be helping us, recommending interns or connections to organizations, specifically with criminal justice, who we can continue to partner with and enhance the experience.
That's awesome. All right, Adam, last question for you. What are you reading, watching, and listening to these days?
So right now I'm reading a book called Blue Ocean Strategies.
Oh,
It came out about 15 years ago, and it was I'm going deep on Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment, PBD, and a lot of his stuff. He's right next to our office. I like his messaging, and he said that is one book that completely changed his life. So I'm into that, and it's pretty good, and I like it because it's similar in a way to 10x is greater than 2x, but that, and Ben Hardy is great with the psychology of it.
Yeah.
This is more of a bunch of case studies on companies that actually did it and how they did it. So that's really cool. And I'm considering, as I finish it, to maybe have me and the executive leadership team book club it. So
cool.
That's what I'm reading. It's been going pretty well. Watching, it's crazy. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old who are very stubborn boys. So I'm watching what they watch. So yeah, it's a lot of Bluey. It's, it's all kid stuff. And oh my God, I just want to make a cartoon on YouTube and just make millions of dollars. Miss Rachel, Blippi. I can do that. I don't know if I want to do that. There's
I want you to do that.
I don't think there's enough medication in the world that can get me to do that. I mean, how many the amount of what is it? The amount of SSRIs I would probably need to be on to walk around like that. Oh my God.
I will tell you. So yeah. I did children's theater for a very brief time in college to make a little bit of money, taking shows into schools, and you have to be that high energy, peppy, and everything. And I met a lot of performers who did that stuff, and it is depressing, Adam. Yeah. It is so depressing behind the scenes.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, listening. So my wife yesterday, past few days on Spotify, we've been going back to the late 2000, and early or late 90s, early 2000s. I've been crushing Backstreet Boys and NSYNC on Spotify. I'm going
All
back to my
right.
college days. It's just one of those things. I've been in that mood the last week. And then my wife just told me about this guy, Teddy Swims, who maybe I feel like I'm old that I don't know who he is, but I listened to a really good R&B guy, and he's coming down here in May. So she wants to go. So yeah, but I'm still,
Nice.
I can't decide if I'm in sync or Backstreet Boys. I'll be both. That's fine. I mean, it is what it is. You asked, and I'm giving you the truth.
I appreciate that about you, Adam. And in general, man, I appreciate you being back on the show for the 7th time, of course.
Yes.
For sharing this program. It's really cool what you're doing. I mean, it's always awesome to catch up with you, but for you sharing, the ideas of what you're doing, sort of how this all came to fruition, modeling what others can be doing, and how to build up the next generation of attorneys and law firm operators. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I've learned so much, and I think one of the things that I struggle with, I'm not good at creating some brand new thing, but I'm really good at iterating what other people have done and getting inspiration from others. I remember 10 years ago, I'm reading old, GLM journals and seeing what family law lawyers are doing with therapists, right? And I take that and go, well, how can I do that with me, with drug and alcohol and mental health therapists? Boom. I didn't come up with it by myself. I took what somebody was doing and said, how can I apply it? And I think that's one of my special talents. So, and for anybody listening, you don't have to create something from scratch. Take what I'm doing and modify it. Take what Tim Semmelroth is doing with the mock trial and modify it, right? And modify it. But of course, don't just steal it. Modify it to what works for you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Charlie. Anytime. I'll be back for number 15 soon.
And we'll see you all in the next episode of They Don't Teach This in Law School.